we're going to be discussing 6 natural ways essential oil insecticides control pests on this edition of the DIY Pest Control Podcast.
Welcome to the DIY Pest Control Podcast, where you get the best info for those who want to perform their own pest control. The DIY Pest Control Podcast is brought to you by Pest. Pest has been providing the finest in commercial and residential integrated pest management for structural, lawns, trees, shrubs, and mosquitoes with better control and less contamination at an affordable price. For more info, visit us at naturepest.com.
Hey, welcome back to this edition of the DIY Pest Control Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, Certified Pest Control Operator here at Pest. And we're going to be discussing today the 6 ways that essential oils control pests. And you're looking for a way to control every single pest with a natural product or with one product. That's not really going to be possible. But with the way most synthetic insecticides work, such as pyrethroids, neonicotinoids, carbamates, organophosphates, they have only one mode of action, really, in how they kill the pest, and that is in a different way, each one of those. But the nice thing about essential oil is that it controls pests in about at least a minimum of 6 different ways. And because essential oils have a complex chemical composition with 30, 40, 50 different components inside an essential oil, it can control insects, especially those insects on plants that are chewing, sucking, piercing insects. It will control it by doing more than just killing it through a neurotoxin or neurotoxicity. They work as repellents. They have adulticidal action, meaning they kill the adult on contact through some neurotoxin component. Sometimes different oils will trigger different parts of the anatomy of the insect and then kill it, whether it's through a sodium channel, whether it's through a sugar channel or a glucose channel, some type of biology going on in the insect that it will kill it. But let's talk about the other activities that essential oils have, one being anti-feeding action. And what is anti-feeding action? Well, anti-feeding action is when it causes the insect, for some reason, to stop feeding. And essential oils have one of these by blocking the glucosinate receptor cell in the insect. And what it basically does is it floods the system with sugar, and the insect says, I am loaded with sugar, I am full, I cannot eat, and therefore stops feeding. Eventually the pest dies because it has stopped feeding. So that's one of the ways that essential oils will control insects. The other is ovicidal and oviposition action. Ovicidal is the killing of the eggs. Oils will kill eggs also. Some insecticides like pyrethrins or pyrethroids will only kill the insect as an adult. They will not kill the insect larvae. You need a larvicide to do that, or an ovicidal product that will kill the eggs. But most of essential oils will kill the eggs also. So in a flea service, that is very vital. If you're doing ticks, the eggs, it is vital in mosquito control that you kill the larvae. So what it does is it actually kills the egg. And then what it does is also reduces the amount of eggs that hatch by that same process. Also, it will do what is known as ovipositioning, where the insect will not lay the egg on that particular property or that particular species of plant or in the soil in the area where that product has been applied. It's also an egg hatching inhibitor. It does not allow the eggs to be able to hatch, not killing it, but it prevents them from hatching. And because it has so many chemical components, scientists still do not understand this completely. It is starting to be looked at very seriously because we are running out of chemical insecticide products that work, that insects aren't resistant to them, and no new insecticides are projected to be produced by major chemical manufacturers, because most of them are moving to GMOs, genetically modified organisms, for food, and the largest consumer of pesticides is agriculture. So in the general household pest market, for residential and urban pest control and lawn and garden pest control, you basically have, if you go to the supermarket, the hardware store, or the big box, home improvement store, you think all those products are new. Some of those chemical products are over 50 years old. They were released right after World War II. So it's not like we have a lot of new products. These are very, very old products that you're buying, like organophosphates and carbamates. In the repellent action of insecticides, especially in mosquito control and in other insects like Sri Lanka weevil, that build their nest in the soil, it repels them from the property, and you do not have to kill them necessarily to get control. That's one of the ways these products get control, is by repelling them. We talked already about neurotoxicity or neurotoxins of essential oils. We got a couple of studies that you can look at. There are links to these studies to verify all this information. These are not, writers writing these studies. These are scientific studies performed at universities around the world. But 53 plant essential oils were tested for their insecticidal activity against eggs, nymph, and adults of a specific species. And it's a long name. It's in the Hemiptera species, but you can look up that and read that study. There's also the larvicidal action. Larvicidal is different than eggs. Larva is when the egg hatches into a little type of worm, like mosquitoes, and they will float around in the water. The larvicidal action of essential oils, it's really great. So you have at least here 6 different ways that essential oils work. We've been very, very successful at using essential oils for our lawn and garden pests, controlling scale and hard to control scale and aphids and mealybugs and ticks and fleas in the landscape. So they are very effective. You just have to find the right combination of those oils for controlling the right pest. That is really the secret. But also adding some type of soap or some type of surfactant to the oils, it seems to enhance their ability to perform on these insects. So this is all I have for you on this edition of the DIY Pest Control Podcast. Hey, I hope to see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the DIY Pest Control Podcast. Please remember that although Franklin Hernandez is a certified and licensed pest control operator in the state of Florida, the content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. You should consult your local and state government or cooperative extension service before performing any pest control service. Remember to always read and follow label directions, because the label is the law.